You won't believe what happened next. A power outage, 2 strangers in the pouring rain, and a civil enforcement order that was about to become their worst mistake, because the woman they tried to snatch was an FBI tactical commander. But before I dive in, I want to ask, where are you watching from? Don't just scroll, drop your city below and join in, because this is something that went from quiet lake mornings to handcuffs faster than the words, fake fine. This all began like any other morning at our cabin in the Minnesota woods. I'm 62 now and spent 35 years as a lineman, so I still start my day the way I always have. Check the generator, make my first cup of coffee, listen to the forest. My wife Marcy and I hold on to a little slice of peace. 100 feet of shoreline, a handmade cabin my grandfather bought back when the only roads out here were logging trails. No mortgage, no liens, no homeowners association, just our land and the freedom to live quietly. But that changed one morning. I was walking down our gravel drive to check the motion sensor on the gate. Squirrels chewed through it again, of course. When I saw something odd. Duct-taped to our iron gate was a manila envelope, peeling the paint off with that industrial tape. No postmark, no stamp. Our names neatly typed on the front. I looked at it and thought, maybe it's a scam letter? Inside, though, was something that felt like a knife. A fancy letterhead that read, Lakeview Ridge Property Association, and a letter jammed full of legalese. But the number punched me in the gut. 12,333 is in past due community dues, with itemized violations like unauthorized firewood storage. Looked at my neatly stacked piles and laughed. Unauthorized well repair. I'd fixed the pressure switch myself just last month. Non-compliant siding color. Unapproved dock maintenance. Things that sounded made up just for the act of bullying people. When I finally said, "This must be a mistake," the words felt hollow. Too much detail. Too many assumptions. This wasn't a screw-up. It was intentional. Marcy summoned our property folder from the big metal filing cabinet. We spread out the deed, title insurance, old county plat maps intact from the time my grandfather had the first survey done. Our parcel was a perfect rectangle, separated from the development across the cove, clearly outside any hypothetical HOA boundary. "They've got no jurisdiction," she said, tracing the line on the map. 0. But that letter sat on the counter for days like a coiled snake. The woods felt different, watchful. Every bird, every snap of twigs made me scan the drive. On Friday, lunchtime came, and I heard gravel crunching. Not the mailman, not Amazon. A dark blue pickup truck rolled in. No license plate, just dents and mud. 2 guys jumped out, wearing cheap neon safety vests that made them look official at a distance but fake up close. I met them at the porch. One spoke first, voice flat. "We're from the HOA's collections division. We need to speak with Marcy Hanlon." Just her, not both of us. Red flag. I told him calmly that I was her husband and they could talk to me. Instead, the other man pulled out a laminated inspector badge that looked like it was printed on the home printer. "We have an order for a compliance inspection related to delinquent accounts," he said, gesturing vaguely at the lake. I blocked the front door, put my hands in sight and said, "You're on private property. You're not invited. Get back in your truck and leave." That's when Marcy appeared behind me, her posture casual, eyes measuring, taking in the truck, their badges, their energy. If you didn't know her, you'd think she was just adjusting her collar. I knew different. She pushed something on the inside of that jacket, activating a button camera. "Can I help you, gentlemen?" she asked politely. Their script was immediate, rehearsed. "Ma'am, we're here about the outstanding balance of 12,000. While they spoke, I made an excuse about checking something in the woods and slipped away to our workshop. I turned on a trail cam I'd hidden in a hollow log and streamed it to a tablet inside the cabin. They really thought they'd walk up and threaten us. Instead, From the window, we watched them tilt open our well cap to build a narrative, then poke at our breaker box. That's when Marcy called the sheriff. 20 minutes later, Deputy Ellis, a guy from town with worn eyes that have seen too much, pulled up. We showed the live feed, and he walked over to them. A brief talk, a nod, and they turned tail and left. When he came back, he handed me a file. No label, just old complaints inside. People falsified liens, bogus fines, those generic threats that never went anywhere, some dated 9 years back. He said, "You're not the first. Maybe you can find something in here." That night, coffee on and the windows open wide, our kitchen turned into a war room. Coffee, lamps, letters, sworn statements from people up and down the lake. Someone fined for a mailbox. Someone for a decades-old boat lift. Every letter signed by the same name. Karen Dworth, President, Lakeview Ridge Property Association. A quick online search painted a picture. A smiling real estate consultant, but her license had expired 18 months earlier. A queen without a jury. The next morning we drove to the records office, which smells like old paper and truth. At the clerk's help, we pulled the official master plat maps. Lakeview Ridge was clearly boxed in tight. And our property, along with a few other West Bank lots, sat outside this box. A 1988 margin note said, "Parcels 7 to 14 grandfathered and exempt from HOA covenants." Exhibit A, solid as law. But that didn't scare her. A neighbor's logbook, written by Stan, a retired bird watcher, had entries. June 12th, 9:40 a.m., dark blue truck, no plates, 2 men in vests checked Miller property. Another, August 30th, 2:15 p.m., Karen Dworth and developer pointing at Hanlon cabin. She wasn't trying to regulate. She was showing a bulldozer. The real smoking gun was an email a homeowner received by accident. From Karen to a developer, "We're moving forward with acquisitions. Holdouts will be managed." Just holdouts? That was us. Minor inconvenience to strong-arm and bundle our land. We decided to build a case any layperson could follow. Step 1 was land. I paid $10 for certified large-format maps. On one, I highlighted the HOA border. On the other, our lot. You could see the gap. Naked truth. Exhibit A. Step 2. Our tax bills for the past 5 years on open display. Every county line item listed, but no HOA fees. Clean records. Exhibit B. Step 3. Verifying those inspectors. The state licensing database lists only 4 licensed compliance agents in our county. None matched those 2 men, just hired imposters. Exhibit C. While I did that, Marcy made a quiet call. 2 hours later, the bureau friend James called back, calm and clinical. He'd checked the HOA dues portal and found logs. Karen had signed in with admin access and manually added 5 non-member properties, ours at the top, to billing. Intentional fraud. He also found meeting minutes with a forged notary stamp signed by Karen, claiming annexation had been voted on. The notary's commission was expired since 2014. She'd used an invalid stamp to sanction a fake vote. Exhibit D. We compiled everything into a thick binder under plastic pages. One copy went to Deputy Ellis. Another went via certified mail to the State Attorney General. We weren't victims anymore. We were plaintiffs with evidence, not magic wands, but certified copies. The letter on the gate must have known the storm was coming. Another notice. The threat evolved. A notice of intent to foreclose, with docket number and legalese meant to scare us into folding. Except I plugged that docket into the court's online portal. 0 cases found. Fake foreclosure, just like the fines, just like the inspectors, just like the notary. Another chapter, another line of war, and we suspected it wouldn't end there. 2 weeks later came the night that changed the whole calculus. A cold front, hard rain tapping the windows, a single log thrown into the wood stove didn't push the damp away. Around 9, The lights flickered, then died. No power. Then the silent landline, no dial tone, not the storm. Marcy pulled the curtain and almost whispered, "Surveying." At first I saw nothing. Then tiny red dots glided over the bark above a stump, sweeping across our shed. Infrared lasers mapping the property. They had cut power and phones, then targeted the house. Eerie. Precise. Marcy didn't flinch. "Workshop," she said. "Log cam feed on tablet. Your eyes and ears. Don't engage." She opened our Go locker in the closet, pulled out a tactical vest, an encrypted radio, zip ties. She keyed the radio with precision and dispatch. Another signal to her field office. Code for home invasion, location given, silent rollout protocol. In the workshop, the tablet flickered to night vision. 2 figures in dark rain gear, our returning men. They moved into view at the porch with amateurish stealth. One spoke into a walkie. "At the door. No lights. Ready to make entry." That's when Marcy stepped out. Just a silhouette against the stove's glow. "You boys are a long way from home," she said. Rain pounding, voice steady. Tall one drew a heavy-duty taser. "Ma'am, we have orders to detain you for civil enforcement. You need to come with us." He barked over the storm. They stamped toward her, separating like rookies opening a softball pitch. It was the last mistake they made. Marcy advanced 1 step. In a smooth motion, she redirected short guy's momentum, locked his arm, pivoted, and sent him face first into the porch. Tall guy fired the taser, but she caught his wrist, found the nerve point, and the taser clattered useless. In less than 11 seconds, from entrance announcement to both men subdued, she'd used leverage, muscle memory, and a lifetime of training, all without a single punch. She pulled zip ties tight. Then lights lit the woods, flashlights, sirens. Deputy Ellis arrived first, deputies clawing up the drive behind him. They took the 2 men into custody. Wallets produced wire transfer printouts, $5,000 each from Dwarf Real Estate Consulting, direct receipts acknowledging payment by Karen. The crash dominoes began. Clyde and Trent, that's what Marcy later learned their names were, weren't criminals. They were mercenaries with an expiration date, until cuffs clicked. Under pressure, they named Karen in under 10 minutes. The following morning, the DA handed the warrant and deputies dragged Karen out at 10. Marcy was present, allowed by DA as victim and expert. At 11, we watched through the glass as Karen, suited and composed, tried to reclaim dignity. Denials, indignation, calling us names. Detective slid the wire transfer docs across the table. No charm left. He followed with the email. Holdouts managed. Color drained. Then he played the Zoom meeting recording. We'll make their lives miserable until they have to sell. It was clear and cold. The mask fell. The fight went out. She sat in silence, broken. The room was quiet, her reign unraveling by tape and testimony. Word spread through the lake community like wildfire. 2 days later, the rest of the HOA board resigned and publicly denounced her. She had no allies, not when the facts were that clear. Facing felony charges, fraud, conspiracy, false impersonation, falsifying court documents, her lawyer urged her to plead. She did. I watched in the courtroom as a judge accepted it. The click of her cuffs echoed through the wood paneling like a tiny gavel. But that wasn't the end. With our binder, the AG's office launched a full probe, found years of misconduct, misappropriated funds, forged documents. A court ruled to revoke Lakeview Ridge Property Association's charter, dissolved permanently. 3 months later, on a quiet porch morning, the mist burned off the lake. Real silence. I sat with coffee that never made my gut knot. Marcy handed me the day's mail, a thick envelope from the AG's office. Inside, a cashier's check for $87,000, restitution from frozen assets to cover legal fees, broken breaker, harassment damages. I looked at the number, looked at the woods where the deer once grazed before the truck tracks, and said, "Well, won't bring 'em back, but this'll buy a few fences." Marcy smiled that small smile, relieved and content. "It's a start," she said. Just then the house phone rang. I didn't flinch, picked it up. Deputy Ellis's voice was lighter than I'd heard in years. "They passed it this morning, the Property Rights Protection Act. From now on, no HOA can levy fines or enforcement actions on non-member property. HOA boards must register with the county, list officers publicly, and log minutes and meeting recordings. Secret votes and phantom authorities, gone. Our fight changed the game." After that, something unexpected happened. Our neighbors came forward. Stan hauled a package up the drive, a pound of venison jerky. "Heard what you did," he said quietly. "About time." Then the retired mechanic fixed our generator. No charge, no drama. He told me Karen had harassed him for the color of oil rags he hung to dry. Neighbors waved as they passed, stopped at the mailbox, and the fear that Karen had built faded into something better. Respect, relief, community again. As I sit here now, I think about what real power is. It's not fonts or letterhead or forged notaries. It's truth backed by proof. Maps with highlighted lines. Tax bills that say nothing for HOA. State-verified licenses. Logs, emails, court documents. Sometimes the fight doesn't start with fists. It starts with folders, certified copies, a quiet call to the right person. And when someone shows up in the dark with lasers and intimidation, the porch light goes on, a shadow steps forward, and that's when proof becomes action. And those men? The ones who tried to kidnap a federal agent on her porch. Let's just say the night ended worse for them than stormy rain ever could. They learned 3 key lessons. Don't cut the power to a lineman's home. Don't trespass where plot lines are tight and clear. And never underestimate a woman who can end a confrontation in 11 seconds without throwing a punch. If this story lit something in you, whether it's the spark of justice or the pride of proof, take it with you. Next time a letter shows up that doesn't smell right, don't panic. Document. Check your map. Pull your taxes. Verify their licenses. Truth is often in plain sight, waiting to be pulled off the shelf. We still stack wood neat by the shed. Still fix what breaks before it breaks. Marcy still sketches gardens by the warm overhead light. The deer are returning, one at a time, and each snap in the woods now doesn't send us into tension. It makes us wonder if that's a buck taking his first step back home. If this story held you, share it with someone who needs proof that the quiet ones can win. Drop your city in the comments, hit like if you believe a folder can be as powerful as a punch, and stick around, because more stories about unexpected reckonings are coming your way. Keep your paperwork tidy. You never know when it might be the thing that saves what's yours.